2015, MGA Entertainment was gearing up for their fall relaunch of Bratz, the doll line that had once dominated the toy market, but had been hitting a flatline during the early 2010s. MGA was under a lot of pressure to make this relaunch work, especially since their big rival Mattel was dominating the market at the time with Monster High. They needed that big firecracker presence on doll shelves that made the original run of Bratz so successful, with new themes and concepts, quality improvements, and some big changes. There's just one problem. This video isn't about Bratz.
Aha! I tricked you! Lulled you all into that assumption that you'd be getting the continuation to that Bratz 10th anniversary video. But alas, I pulled a fast one on the lot of you. What do you mean it's in the title?
Yeah, as much as I'm eager to get into 2015 Bratz, today I want to talk about the other doll line MGA put out in the fall of 2015. Project MC2 was a toy line made to somewhat capitalise on the geek chic trends of the 2010s, as well as helping encourage girls to get into STEM. This doll line came with a bevy of surrounding science sets, online tie-in content, and its own live-action Netflix series, starring a team of high schoolers who worked for a super secret organisation of female operatives called Innovate.
While this video is mostly going to focus on the dolls, the franchise factor of Project MC2 is definitely a vital part of the line's lifespan, so I will be talking a little bit about the media as well.
From 2015 to 2018, we would see 6 waves of deluxe dolls, 4 waves of basic dolls, plus a bunch of science kits of various sizes. And of course, I have a good amount of the dolls with me for this video.
No word of lie, around the time that these dolls came out, they were like the main doll line that I was collecting around this time. So naturally, I'm very excited to dive into the history of the line, what made it so special, and why in the world it ended.
So grab your notebooks, hop on your hoverboards, and get ready to chow down on some molecular spaghetti for a retrospective on the doll line that proved that smart was the new cool. This is Project MC2, a doll autopsy.
Hi everyone, I'm Ari Lynette and welcome to the Olliverse. I'm going to quickly run down the main disclaimer in this video since it applies to all of my doll autopsies. I'm going to be speculating about aspects of this line and why it ended, but keep in mind that my theories are just theories. Take them with a critical eye and don't take them as facts. It's what the Innovate team would do. In sections of this video, I will be using clips from the Project MC2 Netflix series, but because those clips are from a paid streaming service, I'm gonna have to be very mindful of copyright. This hat doesn't fit me. Just the nature of the beast with YouTube's copyright system. But now we've gathered everything we'll need for this experiment, let's start with step 1, figuring out how this all existed in the first place. Okay, like every time I bob my head or anything, this hat just keeps moving further and further down. It's bad that I'm giving up on the hat this early. I forget. You know I have the hat. Come on, it still counts as a costume.
The figure credited as the creator of Project MC2 is Michael Scott Anderson, MGA's former director of design development, who had previously worked on Novi Stars and would later go on to create Rainbow High. Many of the doll designs would be translated to screen with the help of costume designer Christian Svensson, who'd worked on shows such as Scream Queens and Pretty Little Liars, while packaging design was handled by Michelle Schneider. Quick note, the packaging and logo were changed in early 2017 from the more layered sketch-based style to this cleaner aesthetic, and both the old and new style were done by Michelle Schneider. Project MC2's Netflix series was created by writer and producer Jordana Arkin, who has credits on shows like Will and Grace, Raven's Home, and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. The series' science consultant would be Dr. Jeffrey Vineker, who has made many TV appearances performing varied science experiments, and runs an educational streaming service named Generation Genius.
In general, I found that credits for the series were pretty well documented through IMDb, but credits for the toy line were a little bit harder to find.
The first visible signs of Project MC2's existence sprung up in February 2015, with multiple trademarks of the brand's logo being filed under categories including educational and entertainment services, and toys/sporting goods products, which includes dolls. The website also launched around this time with a teaser and a logo as the site's only visible page.
There are no archived versions of the site prior to the website's full launch in July, but I found the teaser graphic itself pretty easily online.
The brand was also presumably displayed at New York Toy Fair that same month.
I say presumably because we never got to find out what exactly was displayed in there. MGA tends to conceal a lot of their Toy Fair exhibits from the public, and Project MC2 was one of the lines that they chose not to display publicly.
Funnily enough, I feel like nobody was looking out for this line since everyone was too busy looking for hints at that year's Bratz reboot, which was also presumably displayed at this Toy Fair away from the public.
I mean, if people had been paying attention to Project MC2, they would have spotted the full cast picture of the full characters as part of the Boob Step and Repeat. It's right there.
But alas, while the Bratz reboot saga would eventually unfold in July of 2015, so would the introduction of Project MC2. The big draw of this line would be the focus on science, technology, engineering, art and maths, or STEAM for short. Also in this video, I'm probably gonna say maths instead of math. It's a British thing, don't judge me.
The inclusion of art amongst the traditional STEM fields got some mixed reception, and to this day still does, with debates about whether it encouraged a more holistic approach to the subjects or whether it watered down the message of the brand. This discussion will become more relevant a little further into the brand's history, so put a pin in that whole STEM discussion. We'll get back to it.
The first launch would see the introduction of the 4 main characters. The lead character is Michaela McAllister, who's the most experienced out of the secret agents, and seen as the all-rounder of the group. Her teammates include Adrian Adams, a very bubbly and sweet culinary chemist from Spain, Bryden Bandwidth, a social media and tech lover with a penchant for acronyms, ones that can only be decoded by her best friend, Cameron Coyle, the engineer of the group, who's good at building gadgets, but not so good at naming them. These characters would form the first lineup of dolls, made up of a more basic core line and a more expensive deluxe line that came with full articulation, doll stands, and their own mini science experiments. This launch would also include some larger science and tech-focused products. The more prominent ones, like the Ultimate Lab Kit and Addison Electronic Journal, would receive their own demo videos during the website's launch, while the deluxe dolls would also have their own demo videos for both the doll unboxing and the included science experiments. These would serve as our introduction to the actresses playing the main 4 characters in the Netflix series: Mika Abdallah as Michaela, Victoria Vida as Adrian, Janaea Walton as Bryden, and Isa Penarejo as Cameron. The releases of both the toys and online content would build a great foundation for the first season of the Netflix series, which released on August 7th of 2015.
But wait. What if I told you this wasn't the original version of Project MC2? I'd heard of some footage on TikTok alluding to the show initially having a completely different cast for the live-action element of the franchise, and I only recently managed to find it.
Ayo was supposed to be in a show, and then 3 years into filming they recast you with someone younger, check.
The TikTok shows early prototypes of the dolls and an earlier rendition of the live-action cast in almost identical wave-worn outfits. This footage comes from actress Genevieve Thomas, who was cast as the original Cameron. Judging by her account, it's likely that shooting for this rendition of the series took place around 2012, with doll prototypes existing around this time, some of which were even tailored to resemble these original actresses, according to Thomas.
This is by far the juiciest mystery surrounding Project MC2, and it's also the one that I know the least about. Regardless, MGA didn't launch these versions of the dolls or the series with this iteration of the cast, and would presumably put the franchise back into the workshop until that finalized launch in 2015.
There's this artwork that was used at several events during the launch period, and I believe this matches the 2012 prototypes, as the Bryden artwork features a blue streak, which is present on the original actress.
And I think this is the only remnant of Proto-MC2 that wasn't a part of the final dolls, but made it out to the public somehow. But now that the final version of the line has launched, let's take a quick look at the release timeline for the dolls that would pan out over the next few years.
Wave 2 would release in early 2016, featuring new core and deluxe versions of Michaela, Adrian, Bryden, and Cameron. The deluxe dolls featured prop disguise glasses and new hand sculpts with molded gloves, alongside new experiments, but would no longer include the doll stands that the first wave of deluxe dolls did. I'm assuming the designs for this second wave were somewhat coordinated with the first, since this promo video from the launch in July 2015 shows the actresses in outfits from both the 2015 dolls and the dolls that would launch in early 2016. At the very least, the photo shoots for these two waves were likely done at the same time. It's also worth noting that many of these complete outfits didn't end up appearing in the show. While the core Bryden and Cameron dolls were based on outfits from the first episode of season 1, many of the other clothing pieces only appeared as separates in other looks. The release of Wave 3 in fall 2016 saw the addition of 2 new characters to the line. Devon DeMarco and Ember Evergreen would be the latest Innovate agents, Devon being a reclusive artist and Ember being a sweet southern botanist. They would both be included in the core and deluxe lines this fall.
Alright, so I've just been editing this section of the video. I got this picture here of the back of the box for the core Wave 3 dolls, and I noticed something, and it is a doozy. Adrian's glasses are not the ones that she is wearing on her final version. Do you recognize these? These are Ghoulia glasses. They gave her Ghoulia glasses. Like, it is almost the same mold, like even the little bits on the side. MGA was daring for that.
The deluxe line would feature the two new characters alongside Michaela, Adrian and Bryden. But what about the new deluxe Cameron doll? Well, she would come with her own remote control hoverboard at a higher price point. The hoverboard accessory was also the basis for a Bratz line in 2016, though Cameron definitely wins out by having her own new outfit rather than the reused pieces the Bratz got. These would release alongside a H2O powered car made to fit the dolls, plus the Ultimate Spy Bag Experiment set modelled after Adrian's purse from the series. We also got some budget re-releases of some Wave 1 dolls with new painted eyes instead of the inset eyes the dolls traditionally come with. This included Michaela and Adrian's deluxe dolls and all of the core dolls except Bryden's. The Spring 2017 deluxe line would be the girls in their formal wear outfits, as first seen in season 3 of the show. This would see the introduction of new packaging for the dolls, including a modified logo. The only character missing from this line would be Devon, though she does get a formal wear look in the series. No core wave this time either. Meanwhile, the big anchor experiment set this season would be the H2O Nail Science Kit, starting off a wave of more beauty-focused cosmetic chemistry sets. The fall 2017 deluxe line would take the line into fantasy territory with these masquerade-themed looks. You have Michaela as a unicorn, Adrian as a princess, Bryden as a mermaid, Cameron as a dragon, Devon as not in this line, and Ember as a fairy. This wave would also see the removal of the actresses from the doll boxes. Around this time we got a new wave of core dolls in the newer style packaging, without the actresses on the doll boxes, though weirdly enough there were prototype versions of these dolls that did feature the actresses on the packaging. This wave would feature all 6 characters for the first time since fall 2016. The main experiment sets this season would be the Cosmetic Chemistry Perfume Maker Kit, plus the Electronic Pixel Purse and Michaela's Electric Styling Head based on her core Wave 1 doll. The final deluxe wave of dolls would come out in early 2018, themed to the glam rockstar looks from the end of season 6. Michaela, Adrian, Bryden and Ember would get dolls in this wave, with the Bryden doll having an additional variant featuring unique hazel eyes instead of her standard green eyes. We'd also see a re-release of the original 4 deluxe dolls from 2015 in the updated packaging, with the season 1 episodes included as a DVD. I'm kind of convinced some of these have different faces to the originals if I'm honest, but don't quote me on that. We'd then continue to get some science sets, including repackaged versions of the experiments that came with the deluxe dolls, plus some larger sets like the Gummy Jewelry Science set, but after this we'd see no more of the dolls.
Before I dive deeper into the dolls themselves, I've just got to take a quick detour to mention some of the licensed merchandise that was made. Not as much as some of the Bratz merch I've covered, but still, MGA has their ways.
It's worth noting that a lot of the experiment sets are themselves licensed products, the majority of which were handled by Horizon Group. It looks like a lot of the sets, especially the later ones, share components and qualities with other science sets from Horizon, particularly their original Universe line. Alas, aside from the many experiment sets that were released over those 4 years, we'd also see backpacks and t-shirts released, including a bunch of Amazon print-on-demand designs, which I sadly couldn't get my hands on for this video.
The print-on-demand tees wouldn't even ship to the UK. They knew I was coming.
But one item that I did get was the Project MC2 beach towel.
Oh my god, I was not expecting it to be this big. I don't have a practical use for this. I'm not even like a pool or beach person, and even if I was, functionally this isn't even particularly a good towel. There's not enough fluff to it. The hairs are too short. And also there's a lot of dust flying around. Plus the way they print the fabric faces feels like flat and eerie. Hello! Nailed it! The amount of entertainment value definitely outweighs the cons though. I just love that this item exists. I'm gonna hang this out of my window like they do with flags at the World Cup.
Imagine like a row of houses with England flags, and then on one of them there's just the cast of Project MC2.
This is my pride flag. Right, so let's finally get into the dolls. I have all 28 dolls from the deluxe range, not counting the budget re-releases. I wasn't kidding when I said I went hard for these dolls. I've also got, I think, a decent amount of the core dolls. I wasn't able to get all of the ones I wanted for this video, but still, over time I feel like I've gotten a good enough grasp of the quality of them.
Hi everyone, so this is just a little quick behind the camera update. I'm not going to show you my face. You do not want to know what my hair looks like. But just to note that some of the dolls in the B-roll footage are going to have some details that are different to how they were sold. So for example, this Core Wave 2 Adrian, she has different glasses here because I got her on Vinted and she didn't come with her glasses that originally came with this doll, which I will show on screen. So I had to sub in with these glasses, which are from the Deluxe Wave 5 Adrian. Also, this Adrian here, she'll be in some shots wearing these glasses. She actually has these lilac glasses in her final release, but again, got a second hand. When I tried to get her lilac glasses off AliExpress, they sent me these ones instead. I will try and denote on screen if there are any significant differences, but most of the time it's going to be how these dolls were sold initially that you see on screen.
First things first, let's distinguish the core dolls from the deluxe dolls with their main difference, the articulation. The core dolls feature 5 articulation points at the neck, shoulders and hips, while the deluxe dolls also feature elbow, wrist and knee joints. The lower legs on the deluxe dolls are actually removable in the same way the forearms on Monster High dolls come off. Both the core and deluxe dolls have versions with both high-heeled and flat feet. And there are some interesting patterns with which characters have which type of feet. Adrian always has heeled feet, as is canon in the series. She vehemently does not do flats.
Time we try to save the world, wear flats! I would never!
The first 3 waves of core and deluxe Michaelas and Camerons all have flat feet, while the first 2 waves of core and deluxe Brydens all have high-heeled feet. Devon and Ember debut in wave 3 with their first deluxe dolls having high-heeled feet, and their first core dolls having flat feet. From this point on, all of the characters aside from Adrian have varying feet. Notably, only one Cameron doll has high-heeled feet, that being her Wave 5 Deluxe. Only one Ember doll has flat feet, that being her Wave 3 Core. Both of Devon's core dolls have flat feet.
One of the reasons I think that Project Mc2 doesn't really get talked about as much nowadays is because of the doll bodies, and the fact that they are not great. Dare I say they're barely even good.
The plastic feels pretty cheap and hollow, and the bodies aren't the most flattering with these flat-looking arms, visible rib cages, and intense collarbones. The articulation is fine, but often feels too loose for its own good. The elbow joints have a habit of bouncing back when you try and bend their arms, and standing these on their own is... no. The gloved hands from the second deluxe wave also limit the wrist articulation a fair bit, with just a pivot and a little side-to-side bobble. Quality control can be a huge factor too. The heads sometimes bobble awkwardly and some of the joints on these dolls are just straight up floppy. I've also noticed this weird discoloration on some of mine. I'm not sure if it's sun damage or general air exposure, but the limbs do feel weird. It's not just a colour thing, the texture is pretty gross too, quite waxy and unnerving.
I love these dolls, but even I won't act like these bodies aren't problematic.
Other than those budget versions from 2016, both sets of dolls feature heads with inset eyes and rooted eyelashes. Each character has a similar, but I believe unique face sculpt. While Cameron, Devon and Ember have more angular sculpts, Michaela and Bryden have rounder faces, with Adrian somewhere in between. The heads have moulded lip detailing, aside from the budget versions, and Michaela and Ember even have painted freckles. Each character consistently keeps the same eye colour over releases, aside from the aforementioned variant of Wave 6 Bryden. While the eyes on these dolls don't quite capture the warmth and elegance that MGA would hit with Rainbow High, they definitely feel a step up from the colder, unblinking stares of Moxie Teens or Spin Master's Live dolls. One bizarre bit of trivia is that the pictures of the actresses on the doll boxes sometimes have photoshopped eye colours to match their dolls, and the results aren't the most natural.
The hair is pretty consistently decent, with none of the demonic polypropylene from early 2010s Bratz.
The overwhelming majority of these dolls have saran hair. Wave 5 Cameron might have the Rainbow High style nylon, but I believe that's the only exception out of the ones I own. The only significant flaw with the doll hair, other than occasional dryness, is a little bit of a tendency to tangle, especially the first deluxe Michaela, which I had to brush out militantly to get this smooth.
Sometimes box hair can overpower a doll no matter the fibre.
The Wave 6 dolls in particular have very heavily gelled hair, though this pops up throughout the different waves in various levels of extremity. Wave 5 Adrian has a unique pink dip dye. I'm almost certain it's a non-permanent colouring, it's got a very slick texture, and the pink does transfer when you hold it for too long. I wouldn't wash this one's hair if I were you. One other note is the way the dolls handled Bryden's hair texture. Most of her dolls have this straighter, crimped hair, which, while good in terms of quality, never really comes close to resembling Janaea Walton's hair in the series. The Wave 3 Deluxe doll is probably the closest, as she has actual curled hair, with a good bit more volume compared to the straight crimps.
I actually have this spare Wave 1 Bryden that I dressed in all black, inspired by like the training scenes from the show, particularly in season 2. And she came with her hair in these twin braids that ended up leaving this gorgeous curl.
This crimp and curl combo is the closest I've seen to matching Janaea's hair in the series, the only caveat being you just have to do the curl part yourself.
Now, let's talk about outfits. One of the line's underrated strengths, in my opinion, is the way that the characters have consistent styles across the releases, while keeping a wide range of elements and colours for each character.
Michaela's style is what I'd describe as very early 2010s hipster, with lots of flannel prints, graphic tees with sketches of owls and witty slogans, all paired with a cool hat and some Doc Martens. Adrian's style is very distinctly pink and frilly, always in heels and rocking a cute pair of glasses. Some of her staples include kitten prints, bows, and a pop of mint green for good measure. Bryden's style is very eclectic and full of colour, with a lot of tech imagery from modern emojis and QR codes to retro gaming controllers and Tetris blocks. Look out for teddy bear shoes, pixelated hair clips, and bold artwork. Cameron's style is more on the tomboy side, with a lot of geometric prints, notably ones bearing resemblance to Aztec or Native American prints.
And just to be clear, I'm not sure if that's an accurate descriptor for these prints, but rather more like what Google Images would show you if you typed in Aztec or Native American prints. I mean, cultural appropriation is very 2015.
You can also spot dinosaurs, lots of sketched arrows, and a wide range of colours from earthy to vivid. Waist-tied sweaters pop up as part of her style on the show, but less so on the dolls. Devon's style isn't as well-defined as she had less dolls, but there's a recurring motif of school jersey and Letterman-style pieces, plus sketches and paint splatters on her shoes, since she is the artist of the group. Ember's style naturally incorporates a lot of floral prints and flower crowns, but she's no stranger to rocking a cowgirl boot, even under formal wear. Plus she tends to wear fleur dresses and cute socks.
I got my Core Wave 3 Ember secondhand in a vintage bundle. She only came with one sock. I promise she is supposed to have two, and it's not just like a style choice.
As well as the consistent outfit styles, the outfit quality is also pretty consistent. There's a decent amount of separate pieces, particularly the shorts and leggings from Wave 1 Deluxe Brian Cam, though there are a few sewn together tops, like Adrian's blouse and sweater vest from her Wave 3 core, and Bryden's two tees from her Wave 1 Deluxe.
Here's a little hack for you. Bryden's two tees are only joined by the Velcro at the back. So you can flip this orange tee over and then you have the white tee on its own at the front. You would either have to adequately conceal or cut off the orange top at the back, but still.
Also, anytime you get a waist-tied flannel, it's always for show and usually sewn on. The one separate waist-tied flannel is on Wave 6 Michaela, and it's basically a bib with sleeves. The fabrics are usually thin but pleasant to touch. Whenever they need to resemble satin or denim or leather, they do the job well. Plus you do get the occasional novelty like the woven yarn coat on Wave 2 Deluxe Adrian, or the almost fluffy cassette tape texture of 2017 Core Devon's sparkly black top. Wave 2 Deluxe Brian has this clear vinyl jacket, and while it's a really cool piece, it does not allow for much movement. Her arms are in this permanent flailing position. Several dolls, including that Wave 2 Deluxe Brian, have pieces with functioning hoods, while the later waves would branch out with more sequined pieces that aren't completely shed-proof but won't fall apart that easily. The physical details are there when they need to be, like plastic mock zippers, belt buckles, or fur trim. The stitching is stitching, there's rarely a stray raw edge, and the construction allows for some cool individual pieces, like Wave 3 Deluxe Bryden's coat, which is printed but still has actual stitching to give that quilted effect. The printing on these outfits is definitely more so that the dolls can have cute patterns on their outfits, like Wave 3 Deluxe Adrian's cat leggings, or Bryden's mermaid tail from Deluxe Wave 5. A particular favourite of mine is the Keith Haring inspired print on the pants of Wave 3 Deluxe Devon, really going to show that she's deeper than just some stock rebel, but a real art lover. I did unfortunately notice some leather peeling on the sleeves of Wave 1 Deluxe Michaela's jacket. I think this might have been my fault though. I kinda roughhoused some of these girlies filming this B-roll. While on the topic of outfits, we've gotta get into these shoes. While there are a lot of unique shoe sculpts, there are a few recurring molds that you'll see pop up. These flat-footed Doc Marten style boots get used a bunch, some with gradients, some with painted artwork, one pair with a whole Union Jack on the toes, not just painted but sculpted onto the existing sculpt. Ember's cowgirl boots also get a re-up for her Wave 4 Deluxe. Either way, they really put in a lot of work to provide some cool, colourful, varied shoe options, many of which were joined by fabric socks.
We need more socks in Playline.
The doll-specific accessories are a lot of fun, with a great assortment of glasses in particular. Adrian's Wave 3 Deluxe glasses in particular are a winner, plus the mustachioed disguise glasses from all 4 Deluxe dolls from Wave 2. Bags also have a good showing, with Wave 3 giving each Deluxe doll a unique backpack, plus replicas of Michaela's lab kit and Adrian's purse from the series in Wave 2. Deluxe Wave 1 Cameron has a very cool fabric purse, being the one outlier in this category. Fabric and plastic hats are quite consistently included, whether it's beanies, baseball caps, a fabric trapper hat on Wave 2 Cameron, fedoras, because of course this line would make fedoras, plus one of my favourites, the cat-eared ski mask from Wave 2 Bryden, no matter how awkwardly it might fit. I don't love the thin, papery construction of Wave 1 Deluxe Michaela's fedora, but this is the exception and not the rule. Jewellery isn't the most consistent feature, with only the formal wear and fantasy dolls, plus some of the core dolls including earrings, and some dolls having rings hole punched into the doll's hand, though the occasional hair clip or necklace can be spotted, plus a good range of headbands, both fabric and plastic. Plastic belts are also a mainstay, though they definitely set the standard early in Wave 1 with the Deluxe Bryden's game controller belt. Each doll also comes with a comb shaped like a conical flask. They're very cute, but not the best functional doll brushes, with their blocky, uneven bristles and lack of surface area beyond one flat plane. You're not brushing much with these, I'll tell you that much.
The experiments are a fun and unique addition to the deluxe dolls, but I'm gonna be honest, I did stop doing them after the first wave.
More often than not, it would usually give you this plastic base object, like a model of a volcano or an empty invisible ink pen. Then with the help of the inbox instructions and or online experiment videos, you'd know what ingredients you'd need to complete the experiment. Some of the content's wildly varied. For example, Bryden's speaker from Wave 3 has this whole electronic speaker component that's pretty dense looking with a cable and everything, whereas from Wave 4, the Cameron doll just comes with a pipette and marker pens. You'd have things as simple and charming as putting a strawberry on a wind-up base and giving it a face, and some more complex projects like putting together oil, water and an Alka-Seltzer to make a lava lamp.
All you really need is some water, some vegetable oil, some food coloring, and an effervescent tablet, and I'm just using some Alka-Seltzer.
I love the fact that Mika has to cite a branded example of an effervescent tablet, since barely anyone would know what to buy based solely on the phrase effervescent tablet.
That lava light experiment in particular was definitely a full-on task. Not to mention I kept the mixture in there for far longer than I want to admit on a public platform. Now, one thing you might notice as the waves go on is that the experiments do become less fun but generic science experiments and more beauty crafts.
This can be seen with both the separately sold experiment sets and the ones that come with the dolls.
This is not to say that the more beauty-focused experiments are bad. I mean, I just told you I haven't done any of them since Wave 1. But this does provoke two issues. Firstly, let's take out that STEM-STEAM debate pin.
The beauty crafts feel a lot more tenuously tied to STEM. Like, cosmetic chemistry is a legitimate field of science, but this feels less like a genuine exploration of the field and more like we can frame beauty crafts as science because we can, especially when it's so much more dominant in the later waves compared to the more balanced distribution of beauty crafts earlier on. It feels like a fallback or a cynical sales push. And secondly, there was just a greater charm to stuff like making colourful liquid for a glow stick and playing aquadoodle with a set of blueprints than to making hair dye out of eyeshadow or making nail polish out of eyeshadow or making lip gloss out of eyeshadow.
This is a lot of making stuff out of eyeshadow. I'm starting to think Innovate has shares in Morphe or something.
As far as my favourite dolls go, the strongest deluxe wave overall is probably Wave 3. Adrian overall is a standout as far as dolls go, with consistently great outfits. I also have a lot of love for the Wave 4 formal wear Ember with her beautifully made ruffled gown. While Wave 5 scores high on uniqueness points, the Mermaid Bryden is definitely my favourite, with her unique hair blend, sequin gown, and platform sneakers that only Project MC2 would put on this type of doll. And I'm not a luxury snob with this line. The core dolls have some winners too. Again, Adrian never misses, even on a budget. But I also love the Wave 1 Bryden with her grid paper leggings and pencil-themed sweater. Wave 3 Bryden is quite the curveball with her surprisingly understated 3D glasses-inspired dress, while Wave 2 Cameron's dino sweater is just too powerful to resist. Though don't get me wrong, there are some clunkers here and there. Core Wave 1 definitely feels like the most formulaic, and Michaela never really hits her budget stride until the last Core Wave. Meanwhile, Core Wave 2 Bryden definitely feels like the most eclectic of her dolls. For better or worse.
Right, let's get into my media analysis era and talk about the show.
Project MC2 the series was produced by MGA Entertainment in collaboration with Awesomeness TV, a multi-channel network targeted at teens and tweens, which was at the time owned by DreamWorks Animation, but is now owned by Paramount. The series would be distributed by Netflix and premiere as an original series on August 7th, 2015, with its first season of 3 episodes released all at once. The following seasons would also release episodes in the binge model like other Netflix originals, airing 26 episodes across 6 seasons, with the last being released on November 7th, 2017.
You know, back when Netflix let shows run for that many seasons. I promise I'm still not bitter over Santa Clarita Diet, I'm really not. If you've never seen the show, or maybe you've not touched it in a while, allow me to provide a quick recap of the series. I'll just say now, this is not going to be too in-depth, I won't be pulling out any pinboards here. Instead of trying to unpack every episode in detail, what I'll be giving here is a season-by-season synopsis of what goes down. Significant events like new characters or certain bits of trivia, plus how the toy releases are incorporated into each season, both the doll releases and the major experiments.
The first season of 3 episodes covers Michaela's introduction to Maywood Glen, meeting the other main characters. Through some sleuthing, Adri, Bri, and Cam find out Michaela's identity as a secret agent working for Innovate, and end up becoming recruits, helping Michaela on a mission to protect a prince who's landed in town for a major space launch involving Space Inc., where Cameron's dad works. Throughout this season, we get to see Michaela warm up to the other girls and eventually become part of their friend group, while the others get to show off their spy skills and prove themselves as capable agents. By the end of the season, the Quail, who's head of Innovate and also Michaela's mum, I know, Nepo baby, assigns Maywood Glen as Michaela's home base so the besties can stick together. Featured outfits include all of the Wave 1 Core and Deluxe dolls, plus the Wave 2 Core Bryden and Cameron dolls. While featured experiments include the Ultimate Lab Kit, Soda Can Robot, Circuit Beats Banana Piano Kit thingy.
It makes a lot more sense in context.
And the Addison Electronic Journal, who features in every season. I keep forgetting that Addison is technically a character, but she's always there. She's Michaela's talking journal.
I'm fine too, Michaela. Who said that?
Season 2 is made up of 6 episodes and covers Michaela having to fit into high school in Maywood Glen, after the Quail assigns it her home base. The main school-based conflict is a tech fair, where Cameron is aiming to compete against her bully Justin by building a water-powered car. Plus there's also Michaela's love story with this guy Kyle, which is a thing throughout the rest of the series. But of course, secret agenting has its own dramas, and the girls have to put a stop to a cyber-terrorist named Retro, who's messing with the technology at Maywood Glen. Plus they have to see if the release of criminal mastermind Carson Lazarus has anything to do with it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but she's the best villain in the show. Because this season ties in with the release of the Wave 3 dolls, we get the introductions of Devon and Ember. They both end up helping the agents, notably in the final episode, and Ember is even inducted as an agent in training. Plus she wins the tech fair. Good for her. Featured outfits include all 12 of the Wave 3 Core and Deluxe dolls, plus pieces from Adrian and Bryden's Deluxe Wave 2 outfits. Also, I'm pretty sure the pink Ted Baker dress Adrian wears in episode 1 gets recolored in blue for her 2017 Core doll later down the line. Also, the water-powered car is the one sold as part of Wave 3. Season 3, which also has 6 episodes, introduces a storyline involving Michaela's older sister Maddie, who went off the grid and is now seemingly working for the evil Havoc. This storyline results in some really well done scenes, such as this genuinely intense scene where she and the Havoc goons leave the girls tied up and the building is breaking around them. Like, damn, this show did not need to go this hard. In other less intense scenes, we get the further integration of Ember into the group, plus Bryden and Cameron entering a talent show, which also sees the previously frosty Devon warming up a little. By the end of the season, the girls have to find the leader of Havoc at this art gala, where Devon affirms her allegiance to the girls. And while they seemed to win in the end, the final episode closes with the whole team being shoved into a van, seemingly captured. Featured outfits include all 5 Wave 4 Deluxe dolls, 2017 Core Michaela, Bryden, Cameron and Ember, and Wave 2 Deluxe Michaela. This season is also the debut of the Pixel Purse from the Experiments line, plus a couple of elements from the cosmetic chemistry sets like the crayon lipsticks and marble nails. Season 4 is a single episode special resolving the cliffhanger from the season 3 finale. Turns out the girls weren't being captured, they were being led to the Quail, who's at Innovate HQ, ready to promote both Maddie and Michaela with their own appropriate bird-themed titles, namely the Nighthawk and the Owl. Devon is also formally integrated into the group as an agent in training. This episode also sees the return of the prince from season 1 in this bizarre evil twin storyline. Basically, he's gone back to his old mischief-making ways, but actually no, it's just his evil brother making him look like a fool and stopping him from helping the environment. I can't complain, it's a lot of fun. And as this is a continuation of the season 3 finale, featured outfits include all 5 Wave 4 Deluxe dolls, again, as well as 2017 Core Devon in the finale scene. Season 5 brings Space Inc. back into the fold, with 5 episodes circling around Cameron and Ember taking part in space camp, plus an investigation into stolen nanotechnology serving as the central mystery for the girls to crack. There's also this side plot of Bryden helping Adrian make a souffle to impress this celebrity chef. It's whatever. Meanwhile, Michaela is attempting to get her driver's license and struggling with both confidence in her spy abilities and her relationship with Kyle, ending the season with a tease regarding her father. And as for Devon, oh, she looks different. Yeah, they recast Devon for season 5.
Put a big old pin in that. We will be addressing the Devon dilemma later on.
Featured outfits include the designs, emphasis on the designs of the Wave 5 Deluxe dolls. In the canon of the show, Devon designs these outfits for the girls before she is promptly shipped off to New York off screen by the end of the season. We also get Michaela's updated purple lab kit from the toy line.
By the way, love the new bag. Digging the purple.
Subtle. Finally, we have season 6. Its 5 episodes focus on a pollution storyline with this super rich bottled water magnate who owns a media empire. There's a bomb threat and different parties are suspected as wanting to take down this guy, one of which is Michaela's dad, following up from that tease at the end of season 5. Also, the water guy makes Bryden's web series into a TV show which gets her super popular. This causes a bit of conflict.
You know, girl gets popular and forgets who her real friends are. It's a tale as old as Lizzie McGuire.
There's a masquerade dance and an awards ceremony where the girls go disguised as a rock band, and it's all very tied into this one bottled water pollution storyline. But by the end of it, Bryden's back with her real friends, Michaela's dad reunites with the rest of the family, and Michaela's relationship with Kyle is back on track. Wrapping up the series on a happy ending montage. Featured outfits include all 5 Wave 5 Deluxe dolls, for real this time, plus the 4 Wave 6 Deluxe dolls. Cameron does have a look for this line, but she never got a doll. I wish she did, even just for the yellow eyeshadow. Also, the experiments that come with the Wave 5 Deluxe dolls get demoed in this getting ready scene. The doll experiments do pop up throughout the whole show, but this one scene is so blatant, it feels like it needs a paid promotion label in the corner.
Before wrapping up the series overall, there's a bunch of other factoids I need to reel off, but I'm not really sure where else to put them, so... Trivia lightning round?
While the first season was filmed in California, seasons 2 to 6 would be filmed in Vancouver. This is kinda referenced in the start of season 2, where the girls get a shiny new lab, plus the introduction of new locations like Cafe Adams, where Adrian works in the rest of the series. 3 of the 4 main actresses played supporting roles in consecutive American Girl movies. Isa Penarejo in McKenna Shoots for the Stars, Mika Abdallah in Sage Paints the Sky, and Janaea Walton in Isabel Dances into the Spotlight. Season 2 saw a remote cameo from none other than, yep, baby that's Kiki Palmer, as an Innovate agent. Though the most notable casting of a recurring character in the series is definitely Danica McKellar of the Wonder Years, as the head of Innovate, the Quail. She'll often appear remotely on monitors, but even her in-person appearances are green screened in, at least in the earlier seasons. The lighting is a dead giveaway.
Okay, so I'm editing, and right now I'm in the throes of COVID, and this one scene with the Quail and the body double stuff is just sending me. So she puts the badge on, leans in, and like it's so obviously like the body double. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm just like completely rotted from the COVID, but this is hilarious to me.
She does appear in person in seasons 5 and 6 though. Season 3 subs out the Quail for Michaela's aunt, the Falcon, played by Vanessa Parise, who also directed 2 episodes of season 2. I just think that's really cool. In season 5, we find out that Ember has 2 moms, both through some brief background appearances and more explicitly through this pretty quick but effective dialogue.
You can hang with me and my moms. I have 2 of them. Plenty of love to go around.
Sure, it's just a line, but it's sweet, okay? I like a little casual representation from time to time. In season 6, Bryden starts her own web/TV show called Bryant's, where she and her friends can demonstrate cool science stuff. A lot of which happens to be based on the experiment kits from the Project MC2 product line. One of these clips shows her and Michaela demoing the Michaela Electric Styling Head, a plastic styling torso modelled after Michaela in her Core Wave 1 outfit, which Michaela canonically wore in season 1 with absolutely no in-universe explanation for why such a thing exists.
I don't want to outright condemn this. I like a silly meta moment as much as anyone, but if I have to be haunted by this canon mind melt, then so do you. That's what you signed up for when you clicked on this video.
At that point, they may as well have just started including the dolls in the series somehow. I wouldn't have minded. Also in season 6, Bryden wears a necklace with an LOL surprise tot on it, which is, you know, also a doll line by MGA.
Look, I said we weren't going to get the pinboard out, but...
MGA multiverse confirmed!
And finally, it's worth bringing up the original sizzle reel for Project MC2, which features unique scenes of the actresses in character. None of these scenes appear in the series. I'm pretty sure this is more proof of concept footage, but it does feature this gem of a scene.
You guys, where's Michaela?
I like big books and a
cannot lie. Those e-readers just don't fly.
She must be in danger.
This isn't even in character for Michaela. The other girls would do this, but Em's way too much of a stickler for the rules to go into a bathroom for an impromptu mix-a-lot dance break.
Also, I think this was filmed at MGA's headquarters. This circle graphic on the building matches the branding they were putting out at the time to a T. And if you haven't noticed yet, Maywood Glen Academy abbreviates to MGA, as in MGA Entertainment, who makes the dolls. Clever.
So, the series, is it any good? I mean, if you're looking for prestige television, this probably isn't going to fill that hole, but as far as doll media goes, I think it's pretty damn good.
Sure, the dialogue is sprinkled with 2015 core emoji speak, and there's some cringier moments to be found in places.
Hashtag, we're the resistance.
But otherwise, Project MC2 has a lot going for it. The mysteries in each season feel well paced and don't just go for the most predictable outcomes every time. The characters have their own distinct quirks in writing and performance. The costuming is excellent, both the outfits based on dolls and the other outfits just from wardrobe. Mostly. I'm not going to defend these ones. But overall, they really carry on that character building strength I gave the outfit designs credit for earlier. A major highlight is in the performances. Victoria Vida as Adrian is an absolute delight and brings a lot of charm to a character who could have easily ended up being a bit annoying. But no, I'd probably take a bullet for this fictional teenager. Also, I really want to shout out Belle Schaus's Ember, who joins in season 2. She's definitely her own unique brand of outlandish and quirky. I especially love her occasional wish to hog-tie the bad guys.
Find those guys. Hog tie him up and make him beg for mercy.
We stand on the road, wave down a truck, jump the unsuspecting driver, hog tie him real good.
But there's a warmth to her character that lifts her up from just being another southern stereotype. And she fits in the group so well that by the later seasons, you forget she was ever not there. Most of the non-main characters are fine and just serve to move the story along. But again, Carson Lazarus from season 2, an absolute delight of a character.
I'm activating the death floor.
The show would be nominated for a total of 5 Daytime Emmy Awards across 3 years, including 2 nominations for Outstanding Costume Design. All 4 of the original lead actresses would receive Young Artist Awards nominations in 2016, while the show would be nominated for Outstanding Children's Program at the NAACP Image Awards in both 2016 and 2018.
As well as the series proper, online content would be released on both YouTube and the official Project MC2 website.
There's those doll and experiment demos from launch starring the actresses, which would continue through waves 2 and 3 of the deluxe dolls, except for Devon's, which doesn't have an experiment demo.
Hope you still got that pen.
In between seasons 1 and 2, each of the original 4 characters would also get their own mini web series starring the actresses in character: Adrian's Yummy Science, Michaela's Spy Tips, Bryden's Tech Beat, and What's in the Bag Challenge with Cameron. The only odd thing is that while the doll demos feature the actresses hosting the demos as themselves, these interim web series featured the actresses in character.
It's me, Michaela McAllister. I'm Mika Abdallah, and I play Michaela McAllister.
But these web series are fun and both add valuable educational content and extra material for the actresses to really get into their characters. Plus, if you don't have Netflix, you can watch various scenes of the show from these compilation videos on the official Project MC2 YouTube channel. Though bear in mind, there's a lot of repetition in there.
I had to get all of the show clips from these videos, and while I couldn't find the clips from some scenes that I wanted to include, others are featured in like 15 different compilations.
These videos are better suited for little hits of nostalgia rather than binge viewing, unless you fancy watching Brian Cam's dance rehearsal for the 7th time.
There's another bit of media I want to discuss next, and that's the book. Yeah, there's a book, and I did read it.
Project MC2 Smart is the New Cool was adapted from the season 1 screenplays by Jade Hemsworth, and covers the events of that first season in a very matter-of-fact manner.
That's not to say this is bad, but it doesn't really have much of anything that isn't already in the series.
In fact, I think that this book really shows how integral the performances are to the series, as this just doesn't capture the special touches that the actresses bring to the characters, like Bryden's chattiness or Cameron's fun deadpan moments, especially Adrian, who's a standout in the series but ends up a non-factor in the book.
I wouldn't go as far as calling it a waste of time, as it was fun to read it and compare it with the series and see any differences. Mostly just the removal of named celebrities from social media sites, plus some smaller scenes getting cut here and there. But would I call this essential media for the franchise? No.
There are also some other books, but I think a good chunk of them might have been exclusively released for non-English speaking markets.
There's one last thing I want to go over before I get to the cause of death for this line, and that's the Devon dilemma. hold on. I don't think I'm really dressed for this section. Wait a minute. There we go. So Devon is played by Alyssa Lynch in seasons 2 to 4, and over these seasons, her story arc is pretty solid.
She starts off as this intimidating outcast who seems a bit morally grey at first, but ultimately is just there for herself and her art. She helps the girls out in the season 2 finale, and helps out Bryden and Cameron with some projection art for their talent show entry in season 3. All through this, there's a lot of pushback from Devon, who doesn't really see herself as one of the girls. She says she's a me person and not a we person. She's mostly friendly, but calling these girls her friends is a push. But by the season 3 finale, she formally allies herself with the girls as they confront Craig and Vex at the art showcase. And when the girls are mysteriously thrown in a van at the end of the episode, who's there with them but Devon? Of course, the van capture isn't a van capture, and it's actually Innovate taking them to a ceremony, where not only do Maddie and Michaela get awarded bird names, but Devon is officially recruited as an agent in training, helping with the mission in the season 4 special and becoming part of the gang.
All pretty simple, right? Well...
Season 5 rolls around and Devon has been recast, with Maddie Phillips playing her in season 5.
On paper, that's not a problem. Recasts do happen pretty frequently. It's not this wild concept, especially if you've seen any soap opera. And both Devons do a great job with the character. But there's one more thing about the recasting that I really want to emphasize, and frankly, I don't think I'd be doing my job properly if I didn't really needle in this point.
There have been stories going around pretty much from the time this happened, claiming that Alyssa Lynch did not enjoy her time in Project MC2, and that's part of why she didn't return for season 5, or do that missing experiment demo for the Wave 3 doll.
First of all, it's frankly none of our business why she didn't come back, and if it's something she doesn't want to talk about, we should respect that. And secondly, if these stories are true and she didn't like being on the show, that's fine. Like, it would be a shame if she didn't enjoy doing Project MC2, but I wasn't there. I didn't live that experience, so it's not my place or anyone else's to judge her for feeling that way, if that's even true.
This was a job at the end of the day, and while people like, say, Victoria Vida were interacting with fans and expressing how much fun being a part of the show was, you can't expect everyone to have that same positive experience. For one person, this show might have been a way to participate in a valuable project to help girls get into STEM, or make friends on set. But for another person, it might have been just covering rent or getting food on the table, and that's okay.
It doesn't make them a better or worse person, and to think that it does is naivete at best and entitlement at worst.
This whole situation reminds me a lot of the way people reacted to Madison Beer's connection with Monster High, albeit on a much smaller scale, but still. Madison had done some work with Monster High circa 2012 to 2014, including recording a theme song, and gotten her own one-of-a-kind doll as a gift. When people found out that the doll was allegedly in someone else's hands, they didn't take it well and saw Madison as ungrateful and rude for giving up such a valuable item.
According to a fan Q&A, Madison's mom kept the doll for her, but to this day you still see stories going round about her selling it. And maybe I'm biased as a fan of Madison's, but to me, it shouldn't really matter whether she sold it or not.
She had no obligation to keep the doll, especially given the time when she got the Monster High deal. She was going through a lot of pretty awful stuff at the time, now getting this brand deal from her management, out of her control as a literal teenager. So seeing Monster High fans chastise her for not being as enthusiastic about it as they think she should be is honestly horrible? It's incredibly entitled, and I think emblematic of fans just being jealous of someone for getting an opportunity that they, a quote-unquote true fan, didn't.
I brought up this whole tangent because my one specific worry about this video was the way that people would view the Devon recasting, and Alyssa Lynch in particular. So please remember that the people that work on these shows are human. You can't and shouldn't expect them all to have the same love for the show as you do, since we as fans only know a snippet of what goes down on productions like these. Approach these topics with kindness and understanding, and for the love of God, don't harass these people. Don't harass people in general, but like, especially don't harass these people for these reasons. Seriously, it's kind of pathetic. What I'd rather focus on is what happens to Devon's character following the recasting.
So she starts this season a fair bit less snarky. It kind of feels like a lot of character growth happened off screen, so it comes off a little jarring, but she's still a great presence and adds some much needed bite to the group. She helps assist with the mission, she helps search a caravan with Michaela and gives her driving lessons. She even helps Adrian and Bryden get over a fight with some art therapy. But then she's shipped off to New York by the end of the season to work on her graphic novel, and doesn't appear at all in season 6, except for a flashback. And it's a flashback of Alyssa Lynch as Devon, but look, I'm not expecting them to refilm a flashback.
They really put Devon on a bus and sent her out of the series in the same season that they recast her. For all I know, this could have been the plan all along, but personally, I don't believe that. I think there are way too many factors to why this couldn't have been the plan. First of all, seasons 5 and 6 were filmed in the same block style that seasons 2 to 3 were, so they were filmed together. If they'd already written season 6 the way that they did, ending flashback and all, why send Devon to New York in season 5?
It's not like she couldn't have fit somewhere in season 6, either in the main plot or any of the subplots. Did they just not want to deal with an extra character?
The other big factor to this is Devon's doll presence.
Following her debut in Wave 3, she gets only one new doll after this, in the 2017 core line. Every other character, including Ember, who also came in for Wave 3, gets 3 or 4 new dolls. Actually, Ember is in every deluxe line after this, and Devon is in none of them. And while Devon didn't get a formal wear doll in Wave 4, Alyssa Lynch was a part of the photo shoot for this line in her gold dress from the series. Just to be clear, I don't think Wave 4 Devon was ever planned to be a doll, even in production. Her gold dress is a lot less character specific than the others, and her jacket I'm pretty sure was just from wardrobe. This also happened to be the last time the actress's photos were featured on the doll boxes, aside from the eventual Wave 1 re-releases. Except, no, there were those prototypes of the 2017 core dolls with the actresses on the boxes, including Alyssa Lynch's Devon.
Did they remove the actresses from the boxes because of the recasting? In fact, this might sound conspiratorial, but did they make less Devon dolls because of the recasting?
Because they had a great story arc of Devon being integrated into the group and then just kneecapped it by the end of season 5, meaning no masquerade outfit, no rockstar outfit, and therefore no dolls for waves 5 and 6. MGA has scrapped dolls in the 11th hour before. There's plenty of unreleased Bratz that prove this.
The synergy between Devon's recasting / subsequent writing out of the series and her dwindling presence in the doll line is just too tight for me to deem a coincidence.
But it's not like Devon missed out on many future lines, because Wave 6 would be the final release of Project MC2 dolls.
Can I take this off now? The nightmare. Oh my god, stuck in my hair. Am I gonna have to be Devon forever? As far as this video goes, there won't be some big shocking conspiracy about why this line ended. All the reasons I have are not so much predictable, but rather that they just make more sense than, oh, MGA wanted this line to fail or whatever. The first reason I have is just that the line had ran its course. Project MC2 never really felt like a phenomenon of a toy line, and though we got 3 years straight of doll releases, they never really had that big presence that lines like Bratz or Monster High had. MGA might have just decided, oh, well, we've had a good run with this line, but now it's time to move on.
If the sales were that good, they probably would have found a way to drag it out for longer. But other than those first wave deluxe re-releases and the repackaged experiment kits, they didn't, did they?
Another likely factor to the toy line ending would be the series ending.
Season 6 caps off with an ending montage of the girls' adventures over the past 6 seasons. This definitely felt like the writing was on the wall for the series.
At that point in time, yeah, I can understand why the series ended at this point.
I'd imagine the lead actresses would want to move on to new projects in time, and even then, they wouldn't be able to feasibly play high schoolers forever. And while I think that the series existed because of the toy line, and not the other way around, I don't know if the toy line would have had enough of a hold on the audience to thrive without the series.
The last reason I think the line ended kind of links up to that first reason of the line running its course, but more in terms of its position within MGA's toy range as a whole.
For a brief time, Project MC2 was MGA's only traditional fashion doll line still in production. The Bratz reboot had wrapped by fall 2016, Moxie Girls had long since ended, and MGA's new main doll would be the LOL Surprise mini dolls. But once LOL Surprised proved itself as a huge moneymaker, MGA would expand the line into that traditional fashion doll area with the LOL OMG dolls. And let's face it, OMG would have probably sold well regardless since LOL was the hot property around the time, but I think this was also an opportunity for MGA to push themselves with a new, unique line of fashion dolls. It was almost a guaranteed home run, whereas Project MC2 never really hit close to the height of success that LOL was seeing.
From what I can see, Project MC2 wasn't really a big firecracker moment for MGA, but there was a good chance that LOL OMG could be, and maybe that chance was worth more than keeping around a decently well-liked doll line that had middling sales, whose main tie-in media had just ended. And no, I don't think Project MC2 ended because of OMG, nor do I think think that there's a world where these two lines couldn't reasonably coexist. I don't think anyone's holding Lady Diva responsible for the world not getting more dolls of Adrian Adams.
What I do think is that Project MC2's doll line served an interesting role as a stopgap of sorts between MGA's past era of Bratz and Moxie domination and their current era defined by OMG and Rainbow High.
If we want to go with that idea that MGA decided they'd had a good run with Project MC2 and were ready to move on from the line, it would make sense to end it now. They'd let the existing stock do its thing, save the new release shelf space for OMG, and pat their designers on the back for a job well done. I put out this tweet a while back talking about how people needed to give this line its flowers.
Project MC2 carried MGA's sleigh powers on their hollow shoulders while Bratz was in shambles and LOL Surprise was still in the oven.
And for me, that is the legacy of Project MC2. Not as this revolutionary powerhouse, but as a consistently decent quality stopgap between two of MGA's biggest hits.
They carried the earnestness of the Moxie era and 2015 Bratz as far as their rickety legs could carry them, while serving colourful outfits and shoe molds that wouldn't be too far from what they do with OMG or Rainbow High. Even the heads and inset eyes would be later echoed with Mermaids.
And even on a less speculative level, the legacy of Project MC2 is still floating around in MGA's toy lines.
MGA reused the belt accessory from Deluxe Wave 5 Cameron on Rainbow High's Michelle St. Charles, and I believe this flask sculpt on Lilac Lane is also an MC2 sculpt. Plus, one of the characters from the first wave of Na 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 Surprise Teens has a very familiar catchphrase.
I'm smart. Get over it.
But do I ever think this line will come back?
A while back, there was this TikTok account that claimed Project MC2 was coming back, and yeah, that was as fake as Devon's demon wig.
If you want my expert opinion, whatever qualification making a video this long gives me, I don't think it's gonna come back.
Project MC2 feels very rooted in its time frame, from the quaintly Disney Channel-esque fashion and emoji speak, to the admirable but often shallow take on STEM for girls.
I don't know if their whole vibe could really work in 2024. This was the era of the girl boss. We were still living in a world where Barbie was being put down every 10 seconds. Lamely was the thing that happened.
In just under a decade, the doll world seems pretty different with how unapologetic lines like Rainbow High and LOL-OMG have been, plus the general transformation of Barbie and rejuvenation of Bratz. And with MGA's doll lineup in flux, such as LOL-OMG's dwindling releases or Rainbow High's more juvenile evolution, I don't really see where Project MC2 could fit.
I think there's a place for a STEM-focused doll, but I think it would have to be very different from Project MC2. I could be proven wrong, and if so, I would be on the front line supporting them, but I just don't see it. And not only has the doll world moved on, but the people behind and in front of the camera on Project MC2 have gone on to greater things.
Michael Scott Anderson would go on to create the massively successful Rainbow High, which would end up becoming MGA's flagship fashion doll. The cast of the show would also see success both during and after Project MC2. Victoria Vida would win Best Actress at the Brazilian International Press Awards for her role as Adrian in Project MC2, while Alyssa Lynch would star in the lyric video for Closer by the Chainsmokers, a video with over 3 billion views on YouTube as of writing this. That is incredible. Mika Abdallah would get a recurring role in the Flash TV series, plus star in the films Sex Appeal and Snack Shack. Issa Penarejo would have recurring roles in 2 series, Red Ruby and Stargirl. Maddie Phillips would star in the series Gen V and Teenage Bounty Hunters, while Belle Schaus would star in the series Queen America alongside Catherine Zeta-Jones, and even cameo in the recent Netflix series on the Menendez brothers. One of the show's biggest success stories has been Janaea Walton, who's starred in the Netflix original Black AF, created by Kenya Barris, starred alongside Eddie Murphy in the Prime original film Candy Cane Lane, had recurring roles in 911 and Never Have I Ever, and soon will be swapping MC2 for MCU, starring in the upcoming Daredevil revival on Disney+.
If all of those achievements aren't a sign of Project MC2's positive impact, I don't know what is. So, after all that, did Project MC2 meet its goal of proving that smart was the new cool? I don't know.
It didn't set the doll market on fire or start any massive trends, but it did demonstrate that MGA could make a consistent doll line in a post-Bratz era with detailed outfits, beautiful faces, and a unique selling point. Plus, there's definitely a nostalgia for the series, judging by what I've seen on Twitter and TikTok, and we all know how powerful nostalgia can be. For those reasons, I think we can solidly count Project MC2 as IAWATST. That's interesting and wonderful at the same time.
Thank you so much for sitting through this mammoth of a video. I have had my heart set on a Project MC2 video for the longest time, so being able to put it out now is just incredible, especially after all the work that's gone into it. Let me know if you are a fan of Project MC2. I really want to know if there are people out there who are obsessed with these dolls as I am. I cannot be alone in this. Let me know if you've watched the series. Who was your favourite character? Did you have a particularly strange experience trying out one of the experiment kits? I want to open the floor to all that good stuff in the comments below. If you want more deep dives into discontinued doll lines, I'd highly recommend my videos on Wild Hearts Crew and Creatable World. Plus, I encourage any suggestions for any other doll lines you want to see covered in the series. I'm sure Noelle would. I literally just got her today, I may as well show her off. And of course, if you like this video, feel free to give it a like, and subscribe to the Aliverse Dolls YouTube channel for more endeavours into doll hyperfixation.
You better, or I'll come after you. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
That's all for today's video. Thank you again for watching. From me and the Pog, have a pretty brilliant day. I hope you all liked my costume changes throughout this video. I had a lot of fun putting them together. This jumper is based on the dinosaur sweater from Call Wave 2 Cameron. I actually tried to see if I could get the one that Issa wears in the series, which is from the H&M Divided line. I couldn't find it in my size, so I had to find some kind of dupe. I ordered it. The one that was supposed to come, the one that I'd ordered, was like blue, like a blue colour, more similar to the actual jumper, but they sent me this one instead. They sent me the wrong colour, and I don't have the drive needed to complain about that kind of stuff. The tan colour will just have to suffice. Sorry if that compromises the integrity of this video about a nearly decade-old doll line. Oh no, I'm just reminding myself that this doll line is nearly a decade old. I don't like that at all.